Can you hear that sound, guys? It's the galloping of sharp hooves en masse. The herd is coming, and if our little bet that Cardano is the leader of the Gen 3 blockchain race is correct, a big portion of that herd might eventually land right in our backyard. Ready? Let's go. Today we'll discuss Russia seeming to move toward embracing crypto. Is this the ignition of the big fire after the spark of El Salvador? We'll also talk about BlackRock offering crypto trading to its customers. Disney suddenly talking Metaverse now. Maybe not so suddenly, but definitely talking Metaverse now. And the Pavia third land sale whitelist. This came out and it was huge news, but not if you can't read Russian. Luckily, Google Translate exists, and we can see a direct English translation of this. This says, everything secret will become mining. I don't think that's what they're really trying to convey here. They say the government and the Bank of Russia have agreed on a future regime for the circulation of cryptocurrencies in Russia. When you read this, you're probably like, the government and the Bank of Russia, aren't they the same thing? Like, what's going on here? Isn't this all just the government? You're probably aware the central banks in many countries are separate from various ministries that often also control economic things. And sometimes those types of ministries, the government and the actual central bank, they might have very different policies and even different policy goals, just depending on who's in power, who's running the central bank, who's running the ministries, who's in the executive branch in the government. In any case, it looks like whatever disagreements they previously encountered have now been ironed out between the government of Russia and the Bank of Russia. Here's the important part. The important part is that cryptocurrencies are recognized as an analog of currencies and not digital financial assets. If you think about it, this is the crux of what we're missing in crypto. We think of cryptos as what the name implies, cryptocurrencies. But government after government has said, okay, this is definitely an asset of some type. It's a digital asset. It's not a currency. Russia is saying, hey, these cryptocurrencies are analogs of currencies. We're not going to treat them as assets anymore. And they have a bunch of stipulations. They say the circulation in the legal sector will be possible only with full identification through the banking system or licensed intermediaries. So you can imagine a lot of KYC, know your customer stuff goes along with that. They say operations equivalent to more than 600,000 rubles must be declared. This is not a small Central American nation state. This is a big player on the world stage. Sure, the economy of Russia is not the biggest in the world, but they're an important geopolitical player. And just like El Salvador has been able to defy the IMF with its Bitcoin adoption, there will be some benefits to Russia in its crypto adoption. Russia is facing a wall of NATO signatories on its western front. At the same time, Russia is an exporter of petroleum products. So when it's at odds with the West and with NATO signatory countries, it has to worry about things like sanctions and the inability to use USD and Euro dominated systems in the export of its petroleum. Obviously, being able to sell their petroleum products for Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies might be one way out of all that. It would be a lot easier for them to spend that Bitcoin if it's considered currency domestically. And in case you're wondering if that article was legit, here's Fortune magazine citing that same article in Commerçant. While Russia is not the biggest economy in the world, BlackRock is the biggest asset manager in the world with 10 trillion in assets under management. And it looks like they will soon allow clients to borrow from BlackRock by pledging crypto assets as collateral. And they will even allow their clients to trade cryptocurrency through their Aladdin network. So clever. It's not just an investment. It's a magic carpet ride, apparently. It's also interesting to note that they own 16.3% of the notoriously pro-Bitcoin Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy. Some anonymous person here is quoted as saying, they see all the flow that everyone else is getting and want to start making some money from this. Yes, I would assume wanting to make money would be the reason they are doing all this. Thank you. Yahoo, and CoinDesk. If BlackRock is not mainstream enough for you, it looks like Disney, who seems to own everything in entertainment, is now betting in part on the metaverse. Some really interesting quotes in this article at theverge.com. This one is a little bit, I don't want to use the word, I don't use the phrase off-putting, but here's the quote they have in this article. While multi-platform television and streaming will continue to be the foundation of sports coverage for the immediate future, we believe the opportunity for the Walt Disney Company goes well beyond these channels, Chapek said. It extends to sports betting, gaming, and the metaverse. When I was a kid, I don't think I could have possibly imagined that the very wholesome Walt Disney Company in the future would be telling me how badly they wanted to get into sports betting. And I don't think even yesterday I would have guessed that Disney would have been sort of bundling up the idea of sports betting along with the metaverse. They also say, we realize that in the future, you can call it what you want. You want to call it metaverse. You want to call it the blending of the physical and digital experiences, which I think Disney should excel at. We realize that it's going to be less of a passive type experience where you just have playback, whether it's a sporting event or whether it's an entertainment offering, and more of an interactive, lean forward, and actively engaged type experience. I think that part they're right about, though. I don't think the future of our internet-based activities, whether it's just browsing, casually browsing information or interacting with people in, sort of these Discord type formats or just doing other routine things on the web, I don't think that's going to be confined to 2D in the future like it is now. I don't really think the future is 2D for those activities. I think a lot more of those types of activities are going to be happening in 3D. I think doing stuff on the web is probably going to feel a lot more like you're walking around in an Assassin's Creed game than it does like you're reading the dead words on a page in a book. I think 3D is just so much more immersive. So I think a lot of things will go to 3D, and I think Disney's right about this. Whether or not the metaverse should be sort of conceptually bundled up in the same category as sports betting, not so sure about, but it looks like Disney is definitely buying into all of the metaverse hype. If you look at the Twitter coverage of this today, it looks like a lot of people feel like Disney has been building up to this for a while with the sales of NFTs based on Disney IP going back as far as last summer. Even Apple seemed to be getting in on the act today, with media outlets pointing out that Apple's new tap to pay iPhone function would allow people to use cards from Coinbase and crypto.com to basically spend their cryptocurrency assets. That's a huge amount of mainstream adoption to basically all happen in one day or about a 1 day period. Credit to Ape for pointing out that this was all happening simultaneously. The Pavia land sale number 3 whitelist is now live at whitelist.pavia.io. There's all kinds of information here. It looks like 40,000 land parcels is expected. They've got prices. They've got maximum parcels here. Registration for the whitelist closes at 900 UTC on Friday the 11th. Whitelist sale commences at 1700 UTC on Friday the 11th. Got all kinds of instructions here telling you not to try to use your bots. Don't be using your bots, everyone, and not to try to get around their per wallet limit by trying to use different addresses. But I'll let you go and read all this information directly at their website. I hope everybody's having a great week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.